Now, the most recent matchup between the Cowboys and the Bears was right here at AT&T Stadium, where Oklahoma State was this close from being Big 12 champs. With NIL, collegiate athletes can now turn this into this. Throughout this week, I've gotten to take a look at some key matchups between the Bears and the Cowboys as their road to rivalry continues.
Oklahoma State and Baylor are playing in their 42nd matchup this Saturday in a series that dates back to 1914. This will be the 5th ranked matchup since the infamous 2013 game, where the rivalry between the Cowboys and the Bears started.
In 2013, an undefeated and 4th ranked Baylor team came into Boone Pickens Stadium with aspirations of a BCS national championship on their mind.
But that all changed when Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty fell at the 1-yard line, failing to secure the first points of the game.
Got off to a good start, and Bryce Petty was running for the end zone, and nobody was around him. And like you said, the turf monster jumped up and tripped him, and he didn't score. And it was kind of like, uh-oh.
Oklahoma State ended up winning that 2013 game 49-17, putting that matchup on the map. Since that meeting, Baylor has been in control, winning 6 of the last 9 games. Throughout the past 9 years, there have been many memorable games, most notably the 2015 game, where Baylor flipped the script and defeated a 4th-ranked, undefeated OSU team. Although most games have been very close, Oklahoma State has had 2 blowout wins against Baylor. In 2017, winning 59-16, and in 2020, winning 42-3. The last regular season matchup was in BPS 364 days ago, where the Cowboys outlasted the Bears 24-14.
Now, the most recent matchup between the Cowboys and the Bears was right here at AT&T Stadium, where Oklahoma State was this close from being Big 12 champs.
I was heartbroken, you know what I mean? It was a tough loss. Disappointed that we couldn't get, from the 1-yard line inside the 5, somewhere in there, we couldn't rush it in.
With the departure of Oklahoma and Texas from the conference, we may see the birth of a new rivalry in the Big 12. Expect to see more games with higher stakes.
That leads us to here, McLean Stadium, where Oklahoma State is seeking revenge from that unfortunate Big 12 championship game.
Collegiate athletes will never be the same. NIL, or name, image, and likeness, is shaping the future for this generation's college athletes. On July 1st of 2021, the NCAA's new NIL rules went into effect, and athletes all over started signing deals to profit on their name, image, and likeness. Here at Oklahoma State, athletes have had the option to sign with branding agent companies to help grow their name. One of those companies, Mag Sports, has taken in some of the most pristine Cowboys and elevated them from student athlete to community hero.
People coming up to me and, asking me to sign their things, it's crazy because, I was once, a fan of, guys like that, and seeing the younger kids come up to me and, show love and appreciation, man, it makes me feel good. And I love it, man. I love the fans.
With NIL, collegiate athletes can now turn this into this.
Some of the big ways that these athletes have grown their brand and make money off NIL is through events in the community. Since Mags has taken in athletes here at OSU, they have had signing events at places like Coney Island and Buffalo Wild Wings. Through all these events, Mag's main focus is always making these athletes known to the community by more than just their on-field performance.
Athletes have a very, tedious schedule from going to practice to class, to playing games. And, to see the appreciation from the community, I think is the whole world to them.
The biggest thing about these community events is not about the money for these athletes or even growing their brand, but it's about the fans and getting these student athletes out and show them how much they are appreciated not only at OSU, but also in Stillwater.
Showcasing who they are as a person and making sure it's known that within the community that they are more than an athlete and that they're a human.
The era of NIL in college athletics has just started, and over the next couple years, people can expect for these rules to be modified and for athletes to make their name known in many different ways. For the Poke Report, I'm Jace Andrews.
Thanks, Alex and Asa. I'm still trying to recover from the Cowboys game as well, but let's try and move on and look at some of the other Big 12 games from last week. Let's start first with TCU taking on West Virginia in Morgantown. This was a high-scoring game from 2 really good offenses. First quarter, West Virginia on top 7-0 when Max Duggan finds Tay Barber for a 71-yard strike as both offenses were just getting started. We move ahead now, fourth quarter, Mountaineers down 10, and JT Daniels trying to mount a comeback as he tosses it to Reese Smith, and he snags the ball out of the air and holds on as he takes a hit to bring West Virginia within 3. A couple of drives later, it's the Horned Frogs and Savion Williams catching his 3rd touchdown of the year, this one sealing the victory for TCU and keeping their season perfect. We now travel over to Ames, Iowa, where the Cyclones, still looking for their first conference win, are taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. We start in the second quarter with the game tied at 3, and Oklahoma setting up to take the lead with a field goal of their own, but whoop, it's a fake. Michael Turk, the punter, finds the kicker Zach Schmidt for a 2-yard dump pass, and Schmidt finds the end zone to give OU a 10-3 lead. We go into half with the Sooners up 13-6. Third quarter now, and Dylan Gabriel throws his only touchdown of the day to Jaleel Farouk, and Oklahoma up 20-6 now. Oklahoma comes out on top with the final score 27-16, and they improve to 5-3 ahead of their matchup with Baylor. Speaking of Baylor, they were in Lubbock taking on the Red Raiders. The Bears were looking like their normal selves in this game, with the standout freshman Richard Reese putting the ball in the end zone 2 times in the second quarter to give Baylor a commanding 17-3 lead at the half. Late third quarter now, Baylor on top 24-10 and make that 24-17 as Bern Morton runs it in from 8 yards out to shrink the deficit to 7. But the fourth quarter was all Bears as they score not once, not twice, but 3 times in the fourth to give Baylor the 45-17 victory. Alex, Asa, I will see y'all in just a bit for our weekly pick'em. Moving on to the football powerhouse that is Lawrence, Kansas, Jalen Daniels and the Jayhawks taking on Matt Campbell's Cyclones. Not a lot of offense in this matchup, but both Daniel Hinshaw Jr. and Daniels score rushing touchdowns in the second quarter to give Kansas a 2-touchdown lead. The Cyclones score right before the half with Hunter Deckers finding Easton Dean, as well as converting a 2-point conversion to make it 14-8 going into the half. Skipping ahead now to the fourth quarter, 27 seconds to go. Jace Gilbert, a chance to tie the game with a 37-yard field goal, but it's wide left, and Kansas now improves to 5-0. I think it's clear to say that I'm the better Jace in this matchup, but I digress. Taking a look at the standings in the Big 12, we have Kansas and Kansas State at the top. Has anyone ever seen that before? Not me. Oklahoma State just behind them at 1-0 in the conference and 4-0 overall. Now, this is where we get into some interesting standings. TCU above Baylor. The Horned Frogs are headed to Lawrence this weekend, and Baylor on a bye, followed by Texas Tech and Texas. 3 schools round out the bottom at 0-2. We've got Iowa State, OU, and West Virginia in last place.